Good evening. I'm Ganesan. I lead the distribution sector, which comprises of retail and consumer industries for IBM India South Asia. I'm going to talk about our point of view on what the new normal is going to look like. I hope all of you are staying safe, keeping well, and with the way in which our government is driving vaccination, soon we'll be getting into the new normal. And the new normal will be very, very different from what we have seen before, because our customers have gotten used to all the digital technologies. And digital has intruded into our daily lives. So we have always been used to digital technologies, be it voice commerce, AI in retail stores, recommender engines, and so on, so that we have used in the past. But now is the time when all these technologies are going to converge, is going to orchestrate and deliver a seamless experience for our consumers. So the future of retail is going to be converged and cognitive commerce, which happens to be the topic for today. So I'm going to structure this discussion in three parts. Okay, so the new normal is going to comprise of three different pillars. If I may use the word, one is going to be converged experience, which is convergence across channels. We have used terms like multi-channel, omni-channel. We have managed to create various channels for ordering and fulfillment. But what we are talking about is the convergence of experience. The second is going to be the use of cognitive tool. Cognitive term has been used by IBM for quite some time. It's any system which understands, reasons, learns, and interacts with humans, which could be our employees or customers, and they are called cognitive systems. But here we are talking about intelligent workflows, which is going to be an integration of workflows cutting across multiple applications with, technologies embedded in it, cognitive technologies like AI, blockchain, IoT, cloud embedded in it. And we've always used a lot of, augmented reality, virtual reality in terms of, enabling shopping, making shopping easier, convenient for customers. But what we are going to see is an integration of AI and extended reality, be it augmented or, mixed or, virtual reality combined towards making smarter recommendation to consumers. We're going to see some details about it in this presentation. And then we're going to talk about automation in a big way. Automation, we have learned through this lockdown period that it's not just a cost saver, an efficiency builder, but automation ensures business continuity, right? So automated systems can function no matter whether there is lockdown or offices are closed. So the importance of automation has been realized during this time. And then finally, all of this merging into what we call as anywhere commerce, okay, which is basically bringing all the data and workflows together across multiple applications, be it SAP applications, some CRM application, or, any of those, the S&OP applications, and orchestrating the workflow across multiple applications, and which come in multiple different platforms, be it public cloud, private cloud, on-prem. How do you orchestrate across all of this? Multiple islands of applications, and that's where the importance for hybrid cloud comes in. So that's in a brief the points that I wanted to cover in this presentation. Now, retail is all about customers, right? With a lot of CPG companies getting into direct to customer drive, the importance of, customers or end consumers cannot be overemphasized. And retail is all about it. So let's start from what customers want or what they've gotten used to based on the experience they've gone through in the past months. Like I said, digital technologies have been there for a long time, started with social media, then got into e-commerce, then analytics and artificial intelligence. A whole lot of digital technologies have been there. The omni-channel has been there, but this is about, how customers have, gotten used to all of this and started expecting something very, very different. Number one, customers want continuity of experience across all the channels, digital, physical, customers want us to know what they want and recommend what they like, what they prefer, based on their activity, based on their preferences, based on the options they've chosen in various channels. And customers want us to curate the right sort of experience and give it to them, be it about assortment, be it about options we present to the customers. So there is Professor Sheena Iyengar from Columbia Business School. She's a professional marketing, and she's done extensive research in the area of choice. Right? We have learned that choice is always not the good thing. In fact, too much choice doesn't lead to conversion. And you can look up, about Sheena Iyengar and her work in the internet. But what it boils down to is, how do you curate the right sort of assortment, the right sort of experience and present to the customer, rather than just leaving all the options open for the customer and allowing him or her to pick the best. So that's as far as customer goes. And what are the retailers doing, or what are the retailers going to do in the new normal is what this point of view is about, which is basically offering converged experience. Right? How do we actually converge across one? That's what we call as converged experience, converged commerce. Second is, how do we ensure cognitive technologies that enable this converged experience? Processes are going to be transformed with a lot of cognitive tools. We're going to re-engineer processes by embedding emerging technologies such as AI, cloud, IoT, blockchain, and all that we have seen over the years, and to present, to build intelligence into the workflows. So we've talked about, virtual try-on for quite some time. It's been mostly augmented intelligence based. We've had in stores, the trial rooms, virtual trial rooms, virtual mirrors to see how a product looks on the customer. But what we are now talking about is going to be about integrating AI to make sure that we recommend the right options to the customer. Now, when we take items like beauty and cosmetics, the trial process is quite cumbersome. It's a bit invasive in the sense you have to put it on and then see how it looks. So it is messy for the customer, and it's going to lead to a lot of wastage for the retailer. Now, that's where the virtual trial-on solutions with artificial intelligence embedded in it is going to actually bring down the number of trials and make sure that the customer is going to get to the right product very quickly. So that's going to be another thing. The other important aspect is, how do we enable customers to perform any transaction anywhere, anytime? There are technologies available, like what we call as iWindow in IBM. This is a product that we have developed. This is a life-size product being presented on a touch screen, on a large touch screen, where you can actually select the product, configure the product, see how it looks, and order the product. And if your entire workflow is intelligent and end-to-end and well orchestrated on top of hybrid cloud, you are going to get it delivered very, very quickly. So let's imagine you are in an airport, right? And your flight is delayed and you want to kill some time. And you have a cognitive mirror, you have an iWindow there. Then you have an option to go and shop, right? And then select the product. And if your process is well orchestrated, you can ensure that the product gets delivered by the time you get home. That's going to create a great experience. So all of this is about experience, because as we will see in the later part of this presentation, that experience differentiates the winners from losers, from the outperformers from underperformers. And the other part of it is about how do we create visibility of inventory across, so that customers know what is available, what they are going to get, so that customers are not disappointed ordering something and not ending up getting it. And customers want sharper options. And so that's where the AI and intelligent workflows are going to help in terms of optimizing the number of promotions. We don't want to do too many promotions. We don't want to confuse the customer. How do we make come up with sharper offers which attract the customer's interest. So this is how retail will differ. I'm going to take one of them and then go into a little bit of detail, of the three pillars that I just talked about. Number one, which is the omni-channel commerce. Omni-channel commerce has always been there. We've created multiple channels. We've had things like, buy online, pick up in stores, and return in stores, and explore and research on online and buy offline and so on. You had multiple of these channels and practices in place, but converged experience is about how do we actually bring the customer activity together in the form of data to understand the customer better and fulfill in the way that customer wants, right? Be it any of the delivery options, pick up from the store, home delivery, or the right slot that customer picks up and gets delivered, and understanding what the customer is saying, doing, and how do we actually ensure that the customer activity, is understood while keeping privacy in mind, of course, and with customers' consent, which goes without saying. How do we actually present the right offers to the customers across channels? And that's what converged experience is about. And like I said, converged experience is not just for digital. It cuts across digital and physical. How do you experience the app kind of experience into the store? How do you put the devices in the hands of the store personnel and help them, enable them to recommend the right product while the customer is shopping in the store? And how do you ensure that the store kind of experience is actually provided in the online shopping through virtual trial on and various other technologies that are there? And how do you enable, if the customer has decided on a product, wants to have a quick feel of the product, is there a way you can just quickly go to the nearest store and guide the customer in going to the nearest store and checking out the product? So, and that's what the converged experience is all about. And to deliver converged experience, what it takes, what is still holding us from doing this? This would require us to modernize our IT architecture. This would require us to move from a monolithic application architecture into microservices based, containerized, with experience orchestrator. We have various products in IBM to this effect. How do you make your product, your application portfolio simplified and orchestrate across through microservices and with the experience orchestrator? Now, moving into the second pillar, which is the cognitive technologies, AI is going to be a key differentiator. So we've seen lots of research reports that, the companies, feel that there is about 140% better performance you can deliver by using AI technologies. We recently did a survey of 3,000 CEOs around the world, around 50 countries and, 20 odd different industries. But what we found is AI is going to be a key differentiator. It's one of the most important technologies. How are we going to infuse AI in demand sensing? Now, take the case of fashion as a product. Now, in fashion, you've got, 12 seasons. The product life cycle is very short. If you actually don't get the demand right, you actually end up not selling at full price. The stat says that 50% of the products don't sell at full price and 30% of the product don't sell at all. They either go for clearance or they end up as scrap or as a landfill even. So how do you ensure that you capture the right kind of demand signals while being in the product design stage? How do you make the right merchandising decisions as to what should be the product configuration? If you take a fabric, if you take a fashion product, what sort of fit and neck type or texture or fabric or color, the decisions that you make at this stage, at the stage of product design or merchandising, is critical in terms of managing the demand and forecasting it right and making sure that and so is the case with inventory management as well. There's a lot of ML-based technologies that are available which goes towards ensuring that you have the right inventory position across the supply chain. Now, all of this will need to be done through a proper fulfillment engine, which is more microservice based, which improve the management of orders. Now, bringing blockchain into the supply chain is another critical aspect. This is another important technology in terms of ensuring that we offer the right level of trust and traceability for the product, which we will talk about in detail in the next slide. Now, some of the things that we have done, right, in these areas, we have done demand sensing. We have developed, AI-based demand sensing algorithms. We're going to talk about in detail in the next slide. But we've also done a lot of work in terms of intelligent inventory management using machine learning techniques, and we built order fulfillment orchestrators. And what we have done in the blockchain area is rather interesting. In the grocery area, we have brought in traceability of a product. For example, if you take a particular ketchup or tomato soup or something, a product that's on the shelf, you are able to trace back to where the product originated from, where the produce was actually grown, and what are the stages it has crossed before it landed on the shelf. Thereby, you bring trust in the hands of customer and traceability in the hands of end customer. So blockchain is key as well in terms of how do you ensure that you have trust and traceability on the products. Now, the demand sensing part that I talked about, here is some work that we have done. Here is our experience, right? In terms of how do we actually bring AI into predicting the sales demand, even while at the design stage, when the product is getting developed and merchandising planning is happening. Now, if you take this is what we call as explainable AI. This is an ensemble of multiple machine learning techniques, which goes into deciding, based on historical data and past data, both internal and external, and the data that we have used in training the models, identifying, what's the drivers for, a particular product feature. Is it the neck type? Is it the color? Is it the fit? Is it the texture of the product? What is the impact of each one of them on the sell-through rate? And through this, you are able to do product planning, and you are able to actually put the right products on the shelf, which will sell. So this has been our experience, and in the interest of time, I'm quickly jumping to the benefits of doing all of this. So we talked about bringing converged commerce. We talked about bringing cognitive tools into it, and we talked about how do we create intelligent workflows and enable that on hybrid cloud and orchestrate the whole thing towards delivering anywhere commerce. Now, the benefits of it, what we've seen is the experience-based differentiating companies, they achieve more than 4 to 8% revenue, and 73% of the customers feel that there's better brand loyalty on the companies that are driving their performance on the lines of experience. And the value of data, there is about 3x return that you get through AI investments, and having the right assortment and ensuring that you don't run into out of stock situations, and minimizing it, and while ensuring that there is right level of inventory across, requires us to actually bring in intelligent supply chain into the equation. And finally, all of this is actually, the IT is going to enable all of this. So there is a need for us to actually plan the application portfolio in a manner that it is all microservices based, containerized, and runs on hybrid cloud. So that's something I've got for today. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take.